Welcome to today's Facebook Live Let's Talk. Today we're talking about reframing our challenges, things that are hard in our lives. And if we are to handle them with resilience, sometimes we have to really change how we think about them. And we have to really be aware of what we're thinking and how that's creating a feeling in our body, and then decide, is this useful or not? So reframing is all about taking the picture of what your situation is, what's hard about it, what you're saying about it, what you're thinking about it, and what emotional experience it's creating in your life and in your body, and seeing how to look at it in a different way, maybe putting it, and I like the whole thought of reframing is like put it in a different picture frame. So right now, if the picture of your life is surrounded by a frame of despair and gloom, and you decide to take that picture out of that frame and put it in a new frame, and this frame around it is golden and is swirly and beautiful and is saying, things are going to get better. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to grow from this. There are things that I can learn that can benefit other people as I have experience and wisdom and develop compassion. Maybe I'm going to develop new skills altogether. I'm going to learn how to manage my time because of this, or I'm going to learn how to take care of someone who's sick. Maybe it's myself, maybe it's somebody else. Maybe I'm going to learn how to, just, I don't know, like interact better, relate better with people, take better care of yourself. And so that's what reframing can do. It's putting that picture in a different frame. And I know there's actually a different definition for that, but that's what I want to offer today is the metaphor. So right now you could say the picture is that maybe you're not getting along well with a family member. And so the picture in there is this conflict, you and this other person. You're not getting along, you're not able to communicate well, you're not able to resolve the issue. And if you keep it inside the picture frame that says there is no hope that this can get better, this is the end of it, it's just never going to improve, we're never going to see eye to eye, we're just never going to get along. I just have to count the days until this child moves out of the house, or count the hours till this person leaves and goes to work, and then I have a break. So if that's the frame around your picture, that is going to be the result. And there's going to be a continuation of this disappointment, discouragement, despair, hopelessness. So let's take that picture. Okay, there's been some conflict, you're not getting along very well. But let's take that picture of you and this other person and put it into a frame that says, but I love this person. I want things to get better. I believe that it can improve. I have compassion for this person. I have compassion for myself. Maybe I need to set a boundary. Maybe I need to clarify my limits or something. But when you take that same picture, the picture didn't change yet, but you put it in a different frame, then you can create that feeling of hope. You can create that feeling of things can get better. And so I want to tell a quick little story. So I'm a life coach. My name is Michelle Cox. I'm a life coach for kids and parents. I'm certified through the Adventures in Wisdom program. And so I was working through the program with the little girl who lived in a different state. So we'd meet on Zoom. She was 6 years old. And on the first day that we met, she talked about how her biggest fear were thunderstorms. Like that was her biggest fear, that there would be a thunderstorm, it would knock down trees, that they would get, their apartment building would get hit by a tree, and there would just be chaos and hail and damage. And so she was just really, really scared of thunderstorms. And it was to the point, her mom said, that they couldn't leave the house even on a sunny day, that she was so afraid of a storm coming up when they were out and about, that they could be in trouble and be in danger. And so even on a sunny day, they had to check the weather forecast over and over. Her mom would have to reassure her it's going to be okay. There's no forecast for rain. And it was affecting the whole family. So as we met together and I was teaching her about her brain, her amazing brain, that she's able to reframe like I'm teaching you right now, like we're talking about. She can think about her situation in a different way and change the way she felt inside in her body. The emotions could change. And we talked about how you have to have repetition to create neural pathways, um, and it takes time and training yourself to think of things differently. So we were just having our wonderful little sessions, and I think I didn't even bring up thunderstorms for maybe the last one or two. We were talking about other things as well. And so suddenly, after our fourth or fifth session, her mom sent me a message, and it was a photograph of this little girl. She was 6 years old, of her outside in the rain, wearing rain boots and rain jacket and holding an umbrella. And her message said, she's not scared, with exclamation point. Like, how did this happen? I was blown away. This is just a month later from my first meeting with her, and she was not afraid to be outside in the rain, where she couldn't leave the house when it was sunny because she was afraid it might rain and turn into a bad storm. And so I was just blown away. Well, what did we do? The thing that we did in our first session together a month earlier was to reframe thunderstorms and think about them in a different way so that she didn't have to be so afraid. And so we talked about how the trees around her apartment have never fallen down in a storm. And that means they're pretty strong trees. I think she's going to be okay. And we talked about, yeah, the power going out, that can be a little scary because it's so dark. So what could you have that could give you light during a power outage? And so we just talked about her getting a flashlight and creating a thunderstorm kit so she could have a little bag that would stay in her closet or under her bed in a safe place that could only be pulled out when there's a thunderstorm, just in case. If it starts to rain, she can have that kit and it'll be ready. And so in her kit, we decided that she'd have a flashlight for herself and for her sister. And there could be snacks in there and some activities to do, maybe some books to read or crafts. She's very talented artistically. And so she could have some arts and crafts in her bag and make it a party. So instead of the thunderstorm being something that she was dreading when it wasn't even happening, now she could think about the thunderstorm as something manageable, something she could handle. And actually, it could become a little bit fun. And so that was the process of her reframing her fear, or the situation, the circumstance of thunderstorms, and she reframed it, put it into a new frame. And that new frame said, rain is fun. A thunderstorm is okay. Of course, we're not going to go run around in the rain when it's thunder and lightning, but when there's no lightning, she could see she was actually safe to go out and play in the rain. And then she could maybe even look forward to and hope a little bit that there might be a power outage. She could use her special flashlight that was reserved just for that. So that's a powerful way, a powerful example of our brain being able to completely shift the way we look at something and internalize it and make sense of it and give it a totally different meaning. And so I love this example because I just think she's an amazing little girl, that she was able to do that, and she was able to understand how her brain could do that, and she came to really value her brain in a new way, you know. So that's the other thing I want to talk about too, is that when we have a difficulty, we have challenges, we all do. And sometimes we'll have, it feels like a tsunami of challenges that suddenly things were kind of coasting along and everything's fine, and then boom, you're just hit by one thing after another, and it just piles up and it feels so overwhelming. There we go. We got to do that breath. You find your nervous system is getting really high and really intense and really activated into that sympathetic nervous system where you go into fight or flight and you're just grouchy all the time. Everything's negative, everything's doom and gloom. Or you just have to retreat and you don't want to be around people and you just kind of avoid being in public, or you're just really trying to keep to yourself, going into flight mode. And then sometimes we just have such a hard time making decisions that we're just really frozen. So when we notice that's happening, we've got to really learn how to train ourselves to notice what your body is feeling and experiencing, and what does that mean for you? How do you feel? If you don't like how you feel, you've got to also look at what you're thinking. What are the thoughts that you're carrying that are creating a frame around your circumstance that's giving it some sort of label? It's going to impact how your nervous system is regulating or not regulating. And so when you notice, I just feel so irritable, everything is doom and gloom, I just can't see a way through here, then you got to take that step back. And the reframe is saying, it doesn't have to be like this. I don't have to look at my life this way. I actually can look at it a different way. It's going to change how I feel, and I might feel better. I don't have to be negative and dark all the time. Boy, it's not easy to do that. So what you want to do is, before you're in that state, that's when you're doing the training to put that into your mind and review it over and over, that when I feel dark and depressing and everything's heavy and overwhelming, I don't have to look at it that way. So that will be in the back of your mind. That will be something that is just lurking there. It's going to be there, a little tiny light that can turn on, and just kind of a little blink, like, oh wait, I'm really dark and gloomy. Do I have to be there? I don't have to. I've trained myself to believe that. This is my tool. I can pull out. It's just going to be a little nudge. And when you learn to just embrace it, it can grow. So what we want to do is right now, kind of clear your mind, calm your body, do those long exhales. I love these. These are my favorite. Bring your body into that state of calm and relaxed. And say, okay, all right, thinking brain is on now. Welcome. So glad you're here. I don't need to be in survival mode all the time. I'm going to train myself to believe I can change the way how I look at life. I can't change my circumstances all the time, but I can have a big impact. I can have a really big impact. I can have a huge impact on how I think about it. I'm going to reframe. When I'm thinking this is too hard, I can think there's something I can learn from this that's going to help me down the road, or help me to help someone else, and be there for them in their time of need. And look at the people who've been there for me. I can pay it forward. Okay, so if my problems are financial, what can I do? I can look at ways to be resourceful. I can look at ways to manage my money better. I can look at ways to improve my income and my education and my opportunities. If my challenges are relationships, are in relationship, it's relational. Those are my challenges. Okay, instead of thinking this is how it's always going to be, it's never going to get better, I can reframe and say, wow, if I listen better, maybe we'll communicate better. If I take the time to be compassionate, what are they feeling? What are they experiencing? What's their past that they're bringing with them into this moment? Okay, and maybe sometimes we are in a situation that we have to get out of that relationship. Teaching and training yourself, I have the power to do that. If I am in a relationship that's dangerous, I do have the power to leave. I might need to get help. I probably will, but I can do that. I can get help. And there are resources, so many resources in our communities that can help us. If it's not that serious, but you're just getting into a pattern and a habit that just is creating a lot of yucky tension and contention, then reframing to say, there is hope. Things can change. Things can get better. I can manage myself better. I can choose to not fight back. I can choose to say, hey, let's talk. Let's just not yell. Let's talk. Okay, I want to hear what you have to say. Let's just talk about it. Let's just tell it instead of shouting it. Reframing gives you power. It gives you a sense of empowerment, that you have control over how you behave. You can influence how someone else behaves. We can't control other people, and we don't want our hope to be in that we've created a different version of them. Our hope is that we can choose how we are going to present ourselves and how we are going to respond, how we are going to set boundaries and keep them. There's a lot that we can do that can influence a relationship. And so that reframing helps us to see, okay, there is a better way for me to approach my spouse or my child when I need to bring something up. Like, something's not going very well. Let's talk about it. That reframing, putting that picture in the frame of there's hope. Things can get better. I can learn from this. This can help me in the future. So I want you to think for a minute about challenges that you've had in the past where you really did learn something important about it. You learned how to stand up for yourself, or you learned how to communicate better, or you learned how to manage your time better. You learned how to manage your money better. You learned just better life skills. You improved in some way. Think about that. You did it. You learned from it. You learned how to be more careful, more cautious, more specific, more precise. Whatever it was, it doesn't have to just be that you got better at, building things, using power tools, which is pretty fun and awesome. But just like the relationships and the dynamics and all these little intricacies that are so special about us as human beings, you can get better at those things. And it might not cost any money to do that. It might take some time and effort, but it's okay. We have energy for that. We can divert, we can hone in on the things that we need to learn and do. We can make time for that. We can make it a priority. So thinking about these skills that you've learned, and I think as a mother, I was a stay-home mom for 19 years. I have 6 children, and I think about all the skills that I learned, that I developed in that 19 years. My goodness, I learned how to take care of sick children. I learned how to prepare food. I learned how to grocery shop and stock the cupboards for the week. And I learned how to budget. I learned how to drive children here and there and make sure we're making appointments. Like all these little things, these daily tasks were all teaching me something, teaching me how to make cleaning up fun. That's a really good skill. Entertaining children, and I remember like whenever they'd drop a nap and then now I had them awake longer at a time, it was like, oh, how are we going to fill 6 hours straight now? So all of these things that are challenges, we learn from, we develop skills, and they don't have to be a crisis. They don't have to be something to be gloomy about, but there's something that they're a way that we're becoming a more interesting person, a more dynamic person, a more multi tools and abilities kind of person. So, what a gift. And that's what our challenges can do. They can teach us and train us and enhance us as people. We can be so much more versatile and helpful and contributing in our communities because of the challenges that we've had in the past and how we've been able to learn from them. So that's all I have for you today on this Facebook Live. And I hope that you will take a look at the challenges that you're facing. Take them out of that doom and gloom frame. Let's put that aside and let's get this golden one. Put your picture in there. I can move forward. Things are going to be okay. I can learn from this and I can make my life better. I can improve my relationships. I can improve my situation because I do have power to do that. We've got these amazing brains. We have hearts full of love for others and have compassion for ourselves and faith and trust. And putting all of that together, we can reframe, take away the feeling of hopelessness and create and instill that feeling of hope, and which creates resilience for you. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again next week.